were called Internet Dramas.
She stole my broccoli.
Yeah,
casserole recipe
Yeah,
8 years ago. Whoa. And
Yeah.
claimed it was hers.
And claimed it was hers. Yeah, it's so good. Like, massive track.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Nice to be back in Canada.
It is nice to be back in Canada. I live in Paris now, as we were just talking about, and it's just nice to be home and to spend time with my family and, yeah, just play music with my band, and it's just been nice to be home, yeah.
What went through your head when I played you that clip just then of you winning Album of the Year?
I mean, my heart started racing a little bit. Like,
Really?
I felt the excitement. Yeah, it was just such a fun, unexpected turnout, you know? It was really great. So I was smiling when you played that little clip. It's yeah, good memories.
What do you remember from that night?
I don't remember that much, to be honest. It was kind of a very exhilarating, just really fun, and it was nice to. It was also nice to meet all these artists that I just love listening to, and it just felt like, yeah, it was a really fun night, and it was just obviously I really didn't expect to win all those things, and I loved that first album. I put a lot of myself into it, and I put everything I had into it basically, and it was just nice to feel that kind of love around, you know, around the project, around the music.
You were telling me you were sitting in your chair, they were announcing the nominees for Album of the Year, and you were like, I'm not gonna.
Well, I mean, there was like The Weeknd and Justin Bieber. I was like, I'm for sure not winning this. Like, it's just kind of like surreal. So when they said my name, I was like, I just kind of I blanked out. And the thing is that I had won 3 Junos the night before, and I had only like really prepared the one speech because I was like, I didn't think I was going to win anything. So I was like, I'm going to have one like nice little cute speech
just
in my back pocket just in case. And then the night before I won 3 different awards. So I was like, oh, like, and then when I won, I think that the one that was on air was Album of the Year, I just kind of blanked out a little bit, and my speech was kind of all over the place because I just remember thinking like, I can't believe this is real. Like, anyways, but it's very good memories.
I thought your speech seemed coherent to me.
Yeah?
Like,
I mean, yeah.
I was sitting in the audience. I was cheering you on, and I think
good.
you sounded like you knew what you were doing.
Oh, well, that's good. No, I did not. So it was my first time winning something. It's always, you know, really fun.
Here's the only downside to your first record winning Album of the Year is that you eventually have to make another record.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, I know what you mean, and now that the stakes are higher, but
Does it feel like the stakes are higher?
I mean, a little bit, but at the same time, I don't really think of that at all. Like, it was when Phoenix came out, like the first album, we had worked on it for 3.5 years. Like, it came out, and I was already starting to think I was already writing songs for the next one. So, you know, it's kind of like, when you release albums, you're always in the next phase, except for like when you're touring the album. But a lot of it is like music that you wrote years ago, so you're always kind of a few steps ahead. And so I've just been, it was just like a different. I didn't know when I started writing this album, I didn't even know that Phoenix was going to do that well because it had just come out, and it was just kind of. So it never really felt like I was, you know, trying to compare it to the last one or to do anything that was linked to the success of the first one.
Okay, so maybe not in composition and not in creation, but maybe a little bit now because it's about now that you're announcing it and people are talking about it. And
yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good album that we wrote. I love it. And I'm just excited because it's also different from the first one. It was a completely different process for me going through the you know, the creation of that one. And so I'm just looking forward to sharing that part of my music and that part of me that wasn't shared on the first one. So it's just like something different for me, and it's just super exciting. I try not to think about that.
You know what? I'll think about it for you. Apparently.
Yeah,
apparently it's my job to get stressed out for you. That's what I'm here to do, to feel all the pressure. And you're like, Tom, I just made a record. Just chill out. Do you, the last time we talked about Phoenix, a lot of the songs that we talked about were about you sort of like, sort of reclaiming yourself, reclaiming your own identity, taking control of yourself after being in reality shows and or a reality show, after modeling for a while, like taking control of who you are. What did you find yourself writing about?
The process was completely different from Phoenix for this one. This one is kind of I want to say it's like a soundtrack and kind of like a musical diary of a very specific moment in my life when I wrote this album. It was kind of a very bittersweet summer where I was going through a lot of personal stuff. And those moments that I spent in the studio with my friends and my boys from Montreal with who I wrote this entire album, those were kind of the moments that really held me together, kind of going through lots of different things. And so this album feels really special because it explores the whole realm of emotions that I was going through in a very specific time.
I'm not sure if I understand what you mean. What do you mean?
So whereas for Phoenix, I was kind of digging through very intense wounds and kind of trying to figure myself out, this album just felt like something that was a lot more spontaneous. It was just like I was going through things at that moment, and I was in the studio with my friends, and every day we were just using music as something that I would process those emotions I was going through with. I was kind of escaping my own reality through those very playful songs that we wrote for this album. And so there's something that just feels like this album is like a diary. I don't know if I'm the only person who thinks of my life like this, but I always kind of thought of my life as like one huge soundtrack. Like I can associate very specific songs to parts of my life from childhood to now, because when I like a song, I just listen to it a million times, and then I associate it to people I met, to friends, to moments. And this album, it's not usually my own music that I associate my life to.
Yeah. But you have songs that, like, when you were 4 or 5 years old, you'll hear a song on the radio and go, oh, that takes me back to
that takes me back to this exact moment. And I feel like the album this album, 99 Nights, really encapsulates that first summer that we started writing the album during that summer. And it's kind of, it's just like, it's bittersweet, and it's me using music as a playground, like expanding my horizons, just really trying to live the present moment, because it kind of felt like that was the only thing that was real to me that summer. And that's why we called it 99 Nights. It's because obviously, like, a summer isn't exactly 99 nights, but it's kind of like those first 3 months of writing that really shaped the entire album. And yeah, so it's a really special one to me, and it really takes me back to a super precise moment of my life with my friends in the studio, just having fun and escaping through music, which is such a beautiful thing. And yeah.
You were going through something kind of hard. You were going through something transitional, something going on. You were able to go into the studio. You were able to kind of process these emotions sort of as they were happening,
exactly,
like a snapshot of your life. You're going to play a couple of these songs today, which I'm happy about.
Absolutely.
One of the songs is Confetti.
Yeah.
I got a lot of questions, but I think I'm just going to get you to tell me what it's about.
Yeah. So Confetti is basically...
What was going on? What's the snapshot?
What's the snapshot? Yeah. So Confetti was actually a song that I wrote with my friend Lubalin, and we...
The guy from TikTok.
Exactly, the guy from TikTok.
So for people who don't know, Lubalin is the guy who would take all these Facebook... post and turn them into... Do you remember those?
Yeah, of course.
What was the one?
They were called internet dramas.
She stole my broccoli.
Yeah,
casserole recipe 8 years ago. Whoa. And claimed it was hers.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, massive tracks. Yeah, he's brilliant, and he's so funny, but he's an amazing songwriter. Like, he doesn't only write joke songs.
We had him on for his own record here.
He's amazing. He makes beautiful music. Mm-hmm. And we wrote that song together. And we're both kind of like two big introverts. And we've really bonded over that, like over the fact that we hate being at parties. And it's just like kind of this whole emotional, charge when we're at parties and social events where you have to like put on a face or just be like outgoing when you really feel like you're dying inside. And so we wrote this song Confetti, and it's basically a party track for people who hate being at the party. And so we just really wrote it for our people, you know?
Can I just tell you, me too.
Yeah?
Like, I got this social, like, what's more social than this? But it's also very controlled.
It's also controlled.
Yeah.
And but it's like, I think being in our position where like we have to play the game and we have to be sociable people, and we have to, it makes it, sometimes it just makes it really hard for, I mean, I know that I'm a very introverted person. Like, I gain my energy from downtime, from like alone time. And then I can like build up the energy for moments like this, which I'm enjoying, by the way. I'm not in pain right now.
There was a light that went off that said, make sure you mention you're enjoying it right now. There was a laser pointer at your head at the moment.
But yeah, so it's yeah.
Me too. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I find myself, I'm hard. I feel like I'm letting my friends down all the time because I never want to.
Oh, I feel you.
I feel like I go to these like industry functions, and then like the first moment I can,
leave.
I'm gone.
Oh yeah,
you know.
I feel you.
What are we doing in these jobs?
I don't know. You know what? Good question. Good question.
Do you know what I mean though? Like
completely. But I feel like, but that's why I wrote this song specifically. I feel like it's also like something that I'll say and people are like, what? Like,
yeah, me too.
You're an introvert? And I'm like, yes, like it's two very separate aspects of my personality, but like moments that I choose to enjoy will probably be with like very few people, if even with one person, you know?
I sometimes come in on Mondays over the weekend and the folks who work on the show will be like, hey, how was your weekend? And I'll be like, yeah, I didn't do too much.
And that's the best. And then you've never been happier.
I just needed to stay inside. And I know what you mean. Hold on, but in all seriousness, and let's make this about you, not about me for once. How do you handle such a public, because this, I mean, I have a radio show and I talk to people on a podcast and all that kind of stuff. You're famous, man. Like, you know, I've been in Montreal with you, and I've seen how people react when you walk down the street and how people peer in through. We were in a restaurant one time, and I saw people like peer into the window, like when you were there. And I'm sure it's the same in France. Like, how do you handle having such a public-facing job while having like some introversion?
It's funny because I never like really notice it that much. Like, it's never been to a point where like I can't go to like public places.
Yeah.
Like, people do come up to me once in a while, but it's always like super positive. Like, I don't have that kind of relationship with like, and I don't consider myself very famous. Like, I know that people know my music, and like in Montreal, obviously, like I've been around for a long time, like releasing music for years, but it's always been in a really super respectful way that people just, you know, come and encourage me a little bit. I've had a few situations where I was like, okay, this is like too much. Like, I remember one time I was at a restaurant with my boyfriend. I was crying at the table. You know, one of those talks in a public space. And this guy just came up to me and he was like, can I have a photo with you? And I was literally crying, like talking to my boyfriend, like, oh my God, just being so dramatic. And I was like, are you being serious right now? Like, I would not. So that's like one of those situations that have happened. But
what about all of it? What about the Junos? What about the parties? What about the social parts of this? How do you handle all that?
I go to as little as possible. And then the ones where I go to, people are nice, man. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I don't have like I don't have like a bad relationship with it. Sometimes obviously those events can be so boring, and like I really don't like those types of like industry things. It's just like I avoid them as much as possible. But you know what? People are like supportive of the project, and so I play the game once in a while. And
you get out of there when you can.
And that's
my thing.
I'll
go
out of there when I
I'll get the hell out of there when I can. All right, so you're gonna play Confetti off of 99 Nights. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.